Can I share something with you all that nobody speaks about? We spend weeks, sometimes months, building a CV that look polished. We choose every word carefully and then we send it out and simply hope that someone somewhere actually sees the person behind it. Today, our guest and also the part of the show has been stood both sides of that table. He has been the young professional sending out the application and also the one who decide which CV deserves second look. So today we are not here for a normal lecture kind of thing. Today we are here far more valuable. Today we will let you know what your CV reveals and what your CV hides and what is genuinely missing out in your CV. His name is Jiten Bharadwaj. He built his career with purpose and then he built a community in which people trust him with honest questions. I'm Disha. Welcome to our channel Inizio. This is the Honest CV. Let's begin. So this session is all about the CV. I really want to ask you that building a CV is that much important to professionals?
First and foremost, thank you very much, Disha, for inviting me to your podcast.
Thank you, sir.
Really looking forward to sharing insights about what I have seen with students as well as young professionals. It's a very good question because at our time and even people, the current generation, if you all are focused towards your study and your projects, then do you really get time to you know decorate your CV or really enhance your CV? CV is generally taken as a uh, document of chronological order. That
Yeah.
I went to school, I went to college, then I came to my masters and it just flows. And then you have some hobbies and all that. So when you have written everything down, then why do you need to enhance it? So this is a very common myth that people have, that you just write down the chronological order and it's done.
Then actually.
However, what is happening is that the true talent or skill of the person doesn't come out today in a very competitive marketplace where the recruitment companies are coming out with a very specific job description. If I have only one resume, which is a very generic resume, is it really resonating with that job description? Is it really in alignment with what the people want, the industry wants? If it is not, then it is seen as a very generic skill set,
Yeah.
because of which the student then suffers in terms of getting the interview calls or getting their resumes even accepted by the algorithms or by LinkedIn. The failure rate goes up. So today, yes, it is pertinent, 100% mandatory that one has to really find time from your work or from your studies to make sure you are not only updating but making a resume which is totally in alignment with what the industry is currently looking at, because eventually you're going to work in the industry. You're not going to sit in your college or sit in your job the whole life. You're going to either change your job or you're going to go to start working from student life to a career. So if that has to happen, then the resume has to be aligned with your future goals.
Thanks for giving such an insightful thing. It actually matter having a building a good CV. It's very important. Now, my second question to you is that what is the biggest gap between the CVs of students, students like doing MBA, students doing anything, but the CV is required for every professionals. So I want to ask you what the biggest gap between the students' CVs you find out in 2026.
Some of the things which are very commonly missed by a lot of people, be it students or professionals, is quantifying.
Yeah.
That are you mentioning numerically, quantitatively what you did, and what was the outcome? So we call it a quantifiable outcome. If I'm just writing that I did something in my during my internship or during my college project or during my volunteer activities, but I'm not putting a number, then it looks very vague. Like it doesn't give the right amount of effort. You are actually not amplifying your own effort that you actually put. So if you have done the hard work and there has been some output, you have to write it numerically. This, for some reason, is a very big gap that I see in 90% of the resumes. Even if many people put a quantity, but they don't put a quantifiable outcome. There is a difference between quantity and quantifiable outcome.
So can you explain it in detail?
Yeah. So, take a very simple example that if you are a professor and you're teaching 25 students,
Yeah.
25 is a quantity.
Okay.
But after those 25 students have studied, how many passed? So, say 22 passed. So, then that becomes the actually outcome that you as a professor delivered in the class.
Okay.
Tomorrow you may be teaching 100 students, but that is fine. But out of 100, how many passed? If 98 passed, then that your effectiveness is 98%. So that is the difference between a quantity and a quantifiable outcome. So even if people put quantity, they are not able to, they are not able to derive or they are not able to get to the next level of putting a quantifiable outcome, which if you tell them, then they are able to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as you mentioned, with
And
quantity there should be an outcome also. Like what was
Yes.
the result of that thing? That should be
Correct,
mentioned. That's
correct.
it. Okay.
The second thing is that writing that I did something or I helped somebody, uh, those statements are very, you can say, you cannot figure out why that person did that,
Yeah.
what that person did, and then what was the result in a quantifiable outcome. So generally, we recommend a star format of writing where
Okay.
you have situation, task, action, and result.
Okay. STAR stands for S stands for situation, task, action, and
Action and
results.
result.
Okay.
So situation will give you why it had to be done. What was the reason. It could be a business challenge or it can be a project challenge or some reason why that work was supposed to be done. Then they chose you to do that work. They gave you a task. So you have a situation, you have a task, and then when you get the task, you took some action.
Yeah.
So you have the A, and then after that action, what result came in a quantifiable outcome? So that completes the star framework.
Okay.
Normally, what people do is they put A and a little bit of R, but they don't put that the S. The S part is not there, which means I made 15 reports or I made a dashboard of 20 KPIs or any parameter.
This is the action.
That is A.
Yeah.
It has little bit of R, that 20 reports, but it was meant for improving customer satisfaction. So that situation is not there.
Not there. Yeah.
So by making these reports, I was able to generate insights which help my organization during my internship go back to those customers and correct those issues in the process or service, because of which the customers became more happy. So to then it completes the sentence and then actually it comes out that why you were doing it. Otherwise, it looks like you are only taking some action and some result without understanding how you played that role. What was your, because a resume is about you, it's not about your organization.
Yeah.
So when it is about you, it has to be very clear that the situation was not at all good. I was then asked to correct it with a task. Then I took an action, and then I delivered an actionable outcome to the organization and to the customers.
Okay, sir. As you mentioned about STAR framework, can you let us know how do we can use this STAR framework or how can we align the STAR framework according to our resume or our CV?
Yeah, so a star framework has to be actually applied in every section of the resume
Okay.
because it is a basic way of explaining your effort. Now you take effort in volunteering activities or certification or internship or your academic project. Everywhere the star format has to come. It is not only in the work experience that only there you are delivering. Even if you are studying something, you learned customer experience or you learned design and you were able to then use it in some way in your college or in your project and bring out a quantifiable outcome. You can think about it. Even your own learning can be portrayed under a star format. So it is a very universally accepted format which gives a complete idea about the effort, why it was put, what you did, what task you took on upon yourself.
Yeah.
Either somebody gave it to you or you took it upon yourself.
Self, yeah.
Then you took some action and then you got a result.
Result.
So a star format should not be limited only to the work experience. It should be across the entire resume. It will make you think a little bit. However, the benefit is that you will be able to answer also accordingly in the interview. Our resume is not the final output. You have to eventually, give an interview.
Star. Okay.
So in the interview, how do you say? So the star format helps you talk in the interview also, and give the correct picture to the interviewer.
So the star framework you can use in your this extracurriculum activities also.
Yeah,
You did volunteering and all something. Like
absolutely. Like for example, you did any event, you
Yeah.
were a volunteer in an event,
that. Yeah.
and you were able to improve the ticketing sales by 10%, or you were able to, manage, more than 5,000 confirmations of people coming for an event. So there are a lot of quantifiable outcomes that we have given, and to improve attendance or to improve experience, there is a situation that it was not proper, and you that took it upon yourself to make it better.
Yeah.
So there is a situation, there is a task, there is an action, and there is a
This
result.
is it.
So it is equally applicable for extracurricular, any college volunteering activities. People should put it there also.
So this quantifiable outcome is actually necessary for a CV.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So I have a basic question. How do the one knows that this CV is final? How do one know that this alignment with our professional,
Yeah.
with our degree, or you can say with our professions, like the company requirements, the company wants to hire you in that particular. Like if someone is belong from supply chain management, or someone belong from healthcare, someone belong from marketing, someone belong from finance. How do they can know that this is the final resume?
Yeah. No, it is a very relevant question, Disha, because what is happening is that you are joining MBA under a specialization, or even if it is a general MBA, you at least have something in mind that you want to do marketing, or you want to do finance, or you want to do operations.
Exactly.
Likewise.
Yeah.
However, in your chronology, you have your 10th standard, 11th standard, your 10th, 12th undergraduation. You have done some BMS or engineering, whatever it is. After this, you are now thinking about doing a specialization. Suppose you have joined marketing or you have joined finance. Now, at least going forward, your resume should reflect more and more of what you want to actually aspire.
Okay.
We cannot correct the past.
Yeah, exactly.
I cannot change my graduation degree from a normal, engineering to a BMS or a marketing. Past I cannot change, but going forward, what am I putting in the resume, which is aligning with what I want to do, is very important. Because if you want to do marketing, but what the resume is showing is only non-marketing, then how will the person know that you are fit for marketing?
Marketing, exactly.
So either it has to come under courses, it can come under certifications, it can come under technical skills, it can come under internship, summer internship project, it can come under your academic project, it can even come under your co-curricular activities or extracurricular in the campus.
Yeah.
All of these places have to start rhyming to your role aspiration. Otherwise, we will end up making a great resume, but the company will be confused that you have written very good, but this is not what we want you to. We want from you. We want a marketeer. What you have written is consulting, or what you have written is operations. So there will be a disconnect.
Okay. Sir, while explaining the alignment, you mentioned the certification. So this is the
Yeah.
mostly doubts of freshers. What they do, what kind of certification should they pursue to fill that certification gap, to build, I can say, to build that certification which align with their professionals to their goals. So what certification you suggest? I know you can't suggest a particular certification, but according to their specialization or something, if you can give insight on this.
See, a student should try to, first of all, if you're doing a 2-year MBA, you have the first year where you can actually start building the foundation of your resume.
Yeah.
So it is highly encouraged that from the first year one identifies what certification you want to do. I am not a great fan of very expensive certifications. Like for example, spend 1.5 lakh rupees or 1 lakh
Yeah.
rupees over and above what you're already spending on your MBA.
MBA.
You have to get a balance where it is not more than 2 to 3 months of effort, which you are able to balance along with your academics. And either it should be given by the college, sponsored, like you have HBS online or you have Coursera. And if college is providing, first do those courses.
Yeah.
I think the resume should tick mark 5 to 6 courses which the college is giving, and you can ask your seniors, they will mostly have it in their resume, or you ask the professors. The first 5 6 which are very basic, like for example, foundations of AI essentials or generative AI essentials.
Yeah.
Nowadays, AI and Gen AI is very important to be put on the resume.
Okay, so as we discuss, what is the ideal resume looks like according to you?
An ideal resume is very difficult to have an ideal resume, but at least all the sections should be in place.
Okay.
For an experienced person, it may be easy. For a student, it is a little difficult because they would not have done any academic project or a live project or any internship, or they have not taken part in their club activities or extracurricular activities after joining the college.
Yeah.
I have seen first year students tend to be a little bit more shy, and they tend to still getting adjusted to the college. But my advice to them also is the same, that you have 1.5 years or at least 1 plus years. So all the sections, which are the 9 10 sections that we spoke about, the the technical skills, competencies, live projects, extracurricular, hobbies, certifications, internships, all of these, there should be there should be content, good material in all of the sections by the end of the second year of your graduation, post graduation,
Yeah.
because it is very competitive outside. When the placement, when the companies come, they are going to actually see each resume. There are more than 100 students applying for one role, so it is very very competitive, and you cannot be blanks. So a totally full one page is what a student at the end of their masters should target, and of course, as per star format and quantifiable outcome and action verbs and everything else that we spoke about, and it should align with the career aspiration, everything that we spoke about.
Yeah.
But it should be, all the sections should be there.
Yeah.
And many students sometimes say that they don't know that there is a club in their college. So my answer is, please start a club or start an activity or an initiative. Don't wait for someone to tell you that there is a club of marketing or there is a club of um presentation skills or communication skills or any club. I mean, you take the initiative or start the club.
Okay. Also, there is one question I want to mention. How one can mention about the family business in their resume?
Yes, so this is a very important point, that the students who are coming from a family business background, they are trying to add the experience that they genuinely did in their family business.
Exactly.
However, if you do not have a proper payroll, you do not have a proper contract and salary coming, then it is not possible to justify that as a formal work that you did. So please do not put uh, the family business is what I tell the students, because if there is a background check tomorrow with your corporate and they find that it was very unofficial, you were working, but you were working in your own organization, and because of that you don't have a proper uh, appointment letter or a salary slip or nothing is there,
Offer letter or not.
then it will be not, it will be very risky
Yeah.
for you to add that experience in your resume. However, what you can do is, if you have learned something in that role, like you learned how to close new sales, or you learned how to reach out to more customers, you write that under competencies or skills.
Okay.
You add that as that you have that competency. However, do not try to show those 3 months or 6 months as a formal experience, which is actually not the right thing to do.
Do yeah. Okay. So, as a resume mentor, what do you think? What will be the effective way to reach all of these things to any professional or any student?
See, I think, Disha, thanks to you, at least this podcast is being made.
Yeah. Thank you.
And any student who watches this podcast actually does not need anything more than what we spoke about.
Yes.
Generally, we covered, I think, everything that we could cover. The student should listen to this podcast and start working on their resume, which is not going to happen in one day. It will take time to build their
Definitely.
competencies, skills, certificates, project internships. For internships, they can go to uh, unstop.com
Yeah.
or Forage. I think you also have been very successful in using Forage
Yeah. Actually.
and
Yes.
unstop.com.
Yeah.
So they should try to take a project from there, which can be a remote project for 3 weeks or 1 month. They should try to do those things. And the second part is that yes, the colleges should take it seriously, because when I do mentoring, I do 1 hour mentoring per student. Because if you make 10 students sit together, each student has a different doubt, that how do I add my relevant skills or things to my resume. Every person's situation is a little different. So normally this is a one-to-one student mentoring. If the institution or the college should encourage doing that. There are many students who reach out on LinkedIn to me.
Okay.
In fact, I regularly have resume sessions with the students on LinkedIn also.
Yeah. Yeah.
But those colleges which are not doing formally in their college,
Colleges. Yes.
or they are professionals who don't are not in college now.
Okay.
So for that, it is a one-to-one mentoring. But I'm sure that this podcast will reach more and more people, which they will get a very good understanding about this topic, which is generally not covered in the media. You don't find this kind of a session on CV.
Yes.
So thank you for that. Yeah.
Yeah, welcome, so welcome. So the last question I want to ask is there any book which inspire you or any quote you would like to share with us?
It is very difficult to say one book or one quote. However, the one quote that keeps coming to my mind again and again is that from Mahatma Gandhi,
Okay.
that a customer is the God, and you cannot ignore the customer. The customer is always right. I think it was a very profound statement and message that he has given. So while there may be many other things, but right now this is coming to my mind that it is very important to consider a customer as a god.
Got it.
If you keep that point as your focus, then you start making the solutions. You start becoming creative. You can come out with a lot of initiatives which are aligned with this kind of purpose. So if your purpose is a little high, like how Swami Vivekananda said, that fill your thoughts with high thoughts, fill your brain with high thoughts, and then high work will come out of you.
Yeah.
So what Swami Vivekananda is trying to say is that if you are constantly putting very high level good thoughts into your brain, then you automatically your level of output starts becoming better and better, and you start delivering the next level that your potential is. So this two thoughts I just came top of my mind. Yeah.
This is all very thoughtful. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
As we got a lots of feedback from students regarding the pains in resume CVs, how do we connect on LinkedIn, how do we leverage LinkedIn, and how do we network, how do we crack the interviews. So we are upcoming with the lots of podcasts. Stay tuned. This is Disha signing off.